Hello, my name is Denise Childs, and I want to introduce you to INTP 1102, which is Anatomy and Physiology for Healthcare Professionals. Just a few things to get us started before I meet you in class on Wednesday. So what I want to look at on this video is, first off, the welcome. It is INTP, which is an interdisciplinary course. So this course is the anatomy and physiology taken for the pharmacy technicians, the occupational therapists and physiotherapist assistant, and the sonogram program. We all take, the diploma courses all take the same one. I will meet you Wednesdays and Fridays from 1 p.m. to almost 3. I do give a short break in between. I know that can be a tough time for some of you in a long class, so bring snacks, make sure you have water. And we are in room 2403, which is on the west side of the main campus on the second floor. Follow the ceiling signs in order to get there. Ceiling signs are pretty good. So what I want to do in this short video is introduce myself, a quick discussion about Blackboard, introduce you to what I call the resource drive, and then talk a little bit about how to get the textbook. So first off, me. My name is Denise Childs, and I have been teaching for, I'm going into my 35th year. I know, that's a long time. I have been at Red Deer Polytechnic for since 2011. I grew up in Red Deer, and then when I was 18, I couldn't get out of Red Deer fast enough. Then as my parents were getting older, I moved back and got a job at Red Deer Polytechnic, teaching a variety of things, including anatomy and physiology. So I've been there for a while. Now, that's me. And the easiest way to get a hold of me is from email, but we will talk about that. Next, Blackboard. Now, Blackboard it's kind of a little tricky until you get to figure it out. The easiest way to get on Blackboard, first off, is to use your Chrome browser. Good old Google Chrome is old like the Blackboard program. And then the best thing to do until you've got your bookmarks made is just to Google RDP Polytechnic, and you will get to a page like this, and then you click into the Blackboard or into my RDP. And unfortunately, this takes you to a horrible page with lots of stuff, which would be good if you wanted to do lots of stuff. But what you may want to do is bookmark a few things, because also it takes a little while for things to open. So you will see there is Blackboard here. So the best thing to do is open Blackboard here and then bookmark it. And you bookmark it by going to the top. So once you open that, you will get to a page that looks sort of like this. As I said, bookmark it. Here is your address label, and if you go all the way to the side, you can put a star. Now, when your course is open, it will look different than this because this isn't actually, whoops, sorry, you start opening like this. Which again, yours is a little different than mine because I am an instructor. Then pretty much ignore all the rest of these other than the courses. And there is a Blackboard app. It does not work well. Do not use it. It will lead you astray and it won't give you the correct marks. Also, this other stuff is not very effective unless maybe organizations. But you go to courses and then your courses will all be listed at the bottom. Notice I put stars in here to put them up at the top. And you are section B. So you click on section B and it will open up section B. And it may take a while. There we go. So what I want to look at now in terms of Blackboard is a few things, starting with the home page where I keep announcements. And then my grades, we'll look at when you have grades, which won't happen till your first textbook, or sorry, till your first test. A few other things here. The lockdown browser is important because that's how we write tests. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Then there is start here. So start here at this start here. Now that will bring you into an introduction about me. basically, I give you an introduction, and the main thing to get from here is I absolutely love anatomy. I think science is wonderful. And here is my email address. Please email me directly on the RDP email. Do not use the messenger, because my RDP email goes right to my phone and you'll get access. Sorry, I will reply faster. Good. Then there are some steps for success, and some other stuff you can read through. Do check that you have the correct browser. Oops, right here. Browser check right here. It will help you with the right browser, and hopefully the link is still linking. Nope, it's not. Oh well, we'll get back to that later. I'll correct it later. Next thing to look at is the course outline, the schedule, and your references. So the course outline is a document with a lot of policy on it. We will go through it in class because there's some very important things I want to point out. Also, there is timelines and how to get grades and all that bit. Here's the course communication. Basically, email me and I will get back to you as soon as I can. In terms of course reference, this is the textbook that you are needing. Okay, the textbook, as I said, is referred to almost every day in class. Very important. It is from the author Thompson. This is the current one, and it is the 4th edition. It can be bought online, or you can, it can be bought from the bookstore, or you can buy it online. This is the old edition, the 3rd edition. The 3rd edition you can buy used from a good place to find used textbooks, or a Facebook page called RDP Textbooks. Notice that the used one will be good enough. Most of it is current. The page numbers and some of the chapters will be mixed up though, so that might make you crazy. Most of the information is good. The titles are the same, but if you want to follow page by page with me, that one might make you crazy. So although you could probably get a used one for 50 bucks, I suggest you buy the brand new one, and then you can sell it next year for probably 100 bucks. So it depends on which you wish, but I do use the textbook all the time and I refer to the textbook. So make sure you have a textbook. Let me just clean up a page here. I got a lot going on. So that is, let's get rid of that. Oh, there we go. Now things will be better. Okay, so as I said, I use the textbook, get the textbook, read the textbook. Now we have the class schedule, and luckily for you, we have, there's no holidays on Wednesdays and Fridays, so you actually have a lot of courses, a lot of classes, which is good. However, we still are pushing for a very tight timeline. And as you see, we pretty much do one topic a class. Then the exams, there are 10 units with 10 exams and no final exam. And the exam writing window is out of class on the weekend. So the exam writing window opens up at Saturday at 9 a.m. and closes Monday at 3 p.m. And you need to write the hour exam sometime during that window. And I will go into more detail on that in class because it's a little confusing. But these are the times, 10 of them, 10 weekends. Okay, and then here's the schedule so you know what we are covering every single week, with the exception of reading week in October where you have some time off. Wonderful. Here are your exams. Make sure you pay attention to them because missing an exam is usually gives you a 0, but we'll talk about that a little more in class when we go over the course outline. So that is the course outline page. So here we have course outline and references. Next is the resource drive. So I use a document that I go through in class and I put it on a Google Drive. The best way to access a Google Drive is to have a Google account. And you may have had a Google account when you were in high school, but I suggest you create a new one for RDP and then link it to your phone so you can access it easily. And with a Google account, you'll be able to download my documents without asking permission. So you just click here and it should take you to the Google Drive. Here I have my class resources. Here is the course outline. Here is the schedule, and here's the information in case I'm going through this too quickly. We'll talk about the schedule. We went over it briefly. We'll talk about it more in class on Wednesday. And in terms of in-class resources, I use a document. So this document is, I pretty much go through it through class. So this way it keeps us organized, it keeps us on track, and this way you have a way to access the material later on. Also, this is really good if I'm going too fast, because as I say, it goes by really quickly. You can create your own document by going to File and then download, and then download to a Microsoft Word. Now, if you don't have Office, you can get Office from the library or somewhere on the library page. It's free as a student, so you can have your own version. And then download it as a Word, and then you can use it two different ways. You can either type directly on it, or you can put space in it and write on it old school. But please make sure you create your own copy. So do not ask for it to be shared. File, download, Word copy, and that way you will have your own. Okay, as I said, this is the document I use for each unit, and you will see here that our unit is 3 chapters and 4 days. I usually talk about the announcements, and then we'll go through the information I need to discuss each day, which I will look at. We'll look at on the first day. Then notice that I have pretty much a fill-in worksheet, and if you find this information and fill it in the worksheet, you will have a really good study guide, which is fabulous for you to prepare for your quizzes. So that is what I call the resource drive for in-class resources. Okay. The next thing I want to point out on Blackboard is how there is a module for each unit. And usually what you'll find in the module is I break it down by chapters, and then there is what is called the learning outcomes. If you know all these learning outcomes, you will be very successful at the course. Again, I reference what the reading is in the textbook, and then there's also some supplemental videos if you need extra help. Most of the resources are found in the resource drive, so that way I can change them easier. On the left-hand toolbar, there is also a tab for quizzes. This is where you will find your quizzes that you write on the weekends, and they will be found here. You must have what is called the lockdown browser, so you can follow this information and it will help you. The lockdown browser information, if you want to get started, is found under the lockdown browser tab. Let me just introduce it to you because some of you are super keen and you might be excited to get going. So for the lockdown browser, you need to go to the library webpage, and on the library webpage is a program to download depending on your technology. If you have a Chromebook, click up here. If you have a Windows device, click here. And if you have a Mac device, click here. And you need to download a browser, and it will then give you the information to install it. And then once you are done that, I will talk to you in class, and I actually set up practice exams so that you get an idea of how to write a practice exam before we have a real exam. So that is the lockdown browser information. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about today is how we've gone over I've introduced myself, we've gone over Blackboard, we've gone over the resource drive. I talked briefly about the textbook, the bookstore. Just Google RDP bookstore and you will get information on the bookstore or on the textbook. If you don't want to buy things from the bookstore, you can go on Amazon and buy them also. Just make sure you have the right ISBN number and the right edition. I mentioned that you can get textbooks on a Facebook page called RDP Textbooks. You can also find other school-related stuff there if you need a place to rent, or scrubs even. It's interesting. Okay, I will see you on Wednesday at 1 p.m. And before the first class, get on Blackboard. Get your Google account set up, download the reading guide, find a textbook, and if you are super keen, start scanning the textbook. So do a quick read and fill in the reading guide that you found on the resource drive. Access your resource drive, get a textbook. And if you are super duper keen, you can start your lockdown browser information. That's all good. I'm excited to meet you. Hopefully you're excited to start your journey at RDP. Get organized when you can, because once you get started, you've got so many labs and schedules and classes and assignments. So every bit of organization will help now. So I will see you on Wednesday. And until then, get busy.